The black tear in space grew bigger every hour. It started small, just a strange spot on long-range scans near the border of Coalition territory. Then it swallowed a freight convoy. No distress call, no debris, just gone. After that, the Council knew this was not normal. They called it the Rift, a wound in reality that pulled in light, matter, and ships like a hungry mouth. Probes sent close vanished without a trace. The few that sent data back showed impossible readings, gravity twisting backward, time running in loops, dark energy so thick it felt alive. The Coalition gathered its strongest fleet at Rally Point Zeta. 32 species sent warships. Zorath dreadnoughts with heavy armor and roaring plasma cannons. Vexari cruisers that bent space around them. Arcturan carriers releasing clouds of acid drones. Draxus blade ships that moved like knives in the dark. General Varkas commanded from the bridge of the Iron Fang. His scaled face stayed calm, but his tail flicked with worry. Advisor Lyra floated beside him. Her crystal body glowed soft blue. She studied the live feed of the rift. "It expands faster now," she said. "At this rate, 3 systems fall within a week. After that, the core worlds." Varkas gripped the rail tighter. "We hit it with everything. If that fails, we evacuate what we can." They tried. The fleet advanced in tight formation. Weapons fired in perfect waves. Plasma, antimatter lances, gravity pulses. The rift did not even blink. The attacks disappeared inside it like stones in deep water. Then tendrils of black energy lashed out. 3 Zorath cruisers vanished in silent flashes. An Arcturan carrier broke in half. Screams filled the channels for a moment. Then, nothing. Half their strength gone in minutes. Varkas stared at the empty space where his ships used to be. "We cannot fight what we do not understand," he said. Lyra pulsed darker. Then the galaxy dies quietly. A new signal broke the silence. It came on an old frequency few used anymore. Text only, no voice or image. From United Earth Command. To Coalition Emergency Channel. "We have monitored your transmissions. Earth forces are responding. ETA 48 hours. Please hold position and share all Rift data." Varkas read the message twice. "Humans," he said. The word tasted strange. "They have not been seen in open conflict for over 200 years. Some say they died out, others say they hide." Lyra's light flickered. The archives call them unpredictable. Once they burned worlds to win wars, then they stopped, completely. Varkas made a low rumble. "If they come, let them try. We have nothing left to lose." 48 hours later, 5 ships dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the rally point. They looked plain, gray hulls, no sharp angles or glowing engines, no visible gun ports. The lead ship sent its identification, "Steady Hand." A voice came over every bridge speaker, calm, clear, a man with a slight American accent. "This is Captain Daniel Brooks, Earth Expeditionary Group. We received your call. We are here to assist. Request secure channel for briefing." Varkas opened the channel himself. The hologram appeared. Captain Daniel Brooks stood in a simple gray uniform. Short brown hair, steady eyes, no smile, but no fear either. Behind him stood Lieutenant Karen Lee and Sergeant Paul Carter. Both looked ready, but quiet. Varkas spoke first. "You bring 5 ships against the rift. Our combined fleet could not stop it. What makes you think you can?" Daniel looked straight at the camera. "We have studied the data you sent. We believe we know how it works. It is not magic. It is physics pushed to an extreme. We can close it." Lyra pulsed brighter. "Many have said those words. None returned." Daniel nodded once. "We know. That is why we came prepared." He shared a file. The hologram changed to show detailed scans of the rift. Lines of energy flow, points of instability marked in red, anchor points suggested in blue. Our ships carry negative mass shielding, Daniel explained. It lets us pass through the outer layers without being torn apart. Ground teams will deploy deep inside. They will place disruption anchors at the core. When activated, the anchors collapse the rift from the inside. Varkas leaned closer. Inside the event horizon, nothing survives there. Daniel met his gaze. Our people will. Paul Carter spoke for the first time. His voice was low and steady. We have done hard jobs before. This is just another one. Karen added, the anchors are built to survive the conditions. Once placed, they send a counterpulse. It unravels the dark energy matrix. The rift folds in on itself. The alien commanders listened in silence. A Draxus captain hissed, you speak like it is easy. Daniel shook his head. It is not easy. It is dangerous. We expect losses, but if we do not try, your worlds fall next. Varkas studied the human faces. Small, soft skin, no claws or scales, yet their eyes showed no doubt. What do you need from us? He asked. Cover fire, Daniel said. Draw the tendrils away while we approach. Give us a window to slip inside. Varkas looked at Lyra. She pulsed once in agreement. Very well, Varkas said. We will buy you time. We move in 6 hours. The channel closed. On the Iron Fang Bridge, Varkas turned to his officers. Prepare the fleet for diversion attack. Full power to weapons. We keep the rift busy. One Zorath officer asked quietly, do you trust them, General? Varkas looked at the 5 small ships on the screen. I trust that they came, he said. That is more than most did. 6 hours later, the coalition fleet advanced again. Weapons lit the dark. Tendrils of black energy rose to meet them. The human ships moved forward behind the chaos. Steady Hand took point. The other 4 followed close. On its bridge, Daniel stood with hands behind his back. Shield status? He asked. Karen checked her panel. Negative mass field at full strength. We can take the outer shear. Paul stood at tactical. Anchor teams ready in bays. Suits charged. Good to go. Daniel looked at the growing black tear ahead. Take us in. The Steady Hand accelerated. The rift loomed larger. Black tendrils lashed toward them. Coalition ships fired everything they had to pull attention away. The human point defense opened up. Quiet blue pulses shattered tendrils before they touched hull. Then the ships crossed the outer edge. Reality bent. The view screens flickered. Gravity alarms sounded. Time felt thick. Daniel's voice stayed calm. Steady as she goes. Inside the rift, the darkness pressed close. But the human ships held. The coalition watched from outside. Varkas stared at the place where the 5 ships had vanished. They are in, he said. Lyra pulsed softly. Now we see if the small ones can do what giants could not. And every alien on every bridge waited, because the humans had looked at the impossible and said the simplest words. We've got this. Darkness pressed against the hull like thick oil. Inside the rift, the Steady Hand moved slowly. The view screens showed only black. No stars, no light. Instruments jumped and flickered. Gravity pulled in strange directions. One moment the floor felt normal. The next it tilted like the ship stood on a wall. Captain Daniel Brooks stood on the bridge with his hands behind his back. He watched the numbers on the main display. They did not make sense, but he trusted the equipment. Shield status, he asked. Lieutenant Karen Lee sat at her station. Her fingers moved fast over the controls. Negative mass field holding at 89%. We can push deeper, but the strain is building. Another 10 minutes at this rate, and we risk collapse. Daniel nodded once. Keep it steady. Sergeant Carter, how are the teams? Sergeant Paul Carter answered from the drop bay. His voice came clear over the comms. Teams 1 through 6 suited and ready. Anchors charged and checked. We're good to launch when you give the word. Daniel looked at the tactical map. It showed faint outlines of energy knots inside the rift. Those knots fed the tear. Break enough of them, and the whole thing might fold in on itself. Lodge teams, he said. Start with the outer ring. Place anchors at marked points. Report every step. The bay doors opened. 6 small shuttles slipped out into the black. Each carried 10 soldiers in heavy black armor. The armor looked plain. Thick plates over joints, full helmets with narrow visors, small thrusters on the back. No bright colors, no fancy designs, just tools built to survive. Lieutenant Karen Lee watched the feeds from the bridge. Tiny dots moved away from the ship. They headed toward the first energy knot, a swirling ball of dark energy the size of a small moon. Sergeant Paul Carter led Team 1. His shuttle touched down on a floating platform of hardened shadow. The soldiers stepped out, their boots locked with magnetic clamps. Around them, the darkness moved like slow smoke. Set the first anchor, Paul ordered. 2 soldiers carried a silver cylinder, taller than a man. They placed it on the platform. It hummed when activated. Blue light spread from the base in slow waves. The energy knot nearby flickered. Karen's voice came over comms. Anchor 1 active. Energy flow reduced by 7%. Good start. Paul looked around. Keep moving. Next knot is 200 meters ahead. They advanced. Thrusters gave small bursts to cross gaps. The darkness pushed back. Tendrils of black energy rose like fingers. One wrapped around a soldier's leg. He fired his rifle. A pulse of blue light cut the tendril clean. It fell away. Stay tight, Paul said. No hero moves. They reached the second knot. Another anchor went down. Blue light blued again. The rift trembled. A low groan filled the void. Not sound exactly, but something they felt in their bones. On the Iron Fang, General Varkas watched coalition sensors. The edges of the rift had slowed. Not much, just enough to notice. They are doing damage, he said. Advisor Lyra pulsed brighter. The expansion rate dropped. It is small, but real. Varkas crossed his arms. How long can they stay inside? Lyra studied the data. Their shields are strong, but the rift fights back. It learns. Inside, Team 3 lost contact. Karen's face tightened. Team 3's signal dropped. Last position showed heavy construct activity. Daniel did not hesitate. Redirect Team 4 to assist. Paul, you're closest. Move to support. Paul's squad changed course. They flew toward Team 3's last marker. The darkness grew thicker here. Tendrils moved faster. One large construct appeared, a shape like a storm cloud with eyes of black fire. It rushed them. Open fire, Paul shouted. Rifles hummed. Blue pulses lit the void. The construct screamed in their minds. It lashed out. One soldier spun away, armor sparking. Another grabbed him and pulled him back. Paul planted his feet. He aimed his rifle at the center of the storm. He fired 3 quick bursts. The construct broke apart. Pieces drifted like ash. They found Team 3. 3 soldiers down, armor cracked but holding. The rest fought around a half-placed anchor. Paul's team joined the fight. Together they finished setting the anchor. Blue light exploded outward. The construct wave retreated. Anchor secure, Paul reported. Team 3 wounded but stable, bringing them back to shuttle. Karen exhaled slowly. Good work. Energy matrix weakening. We're at 32% reduction. Daniel watched the main display. The rift outline on the map shrank a little. We're not done yet. The teams moved deeper. The core waited ahead, a pulsing sphere of pure black. Tendrils guarded it like a crown. Gravity twisted harder. Time felt stretched. Minutes became hours in their heads. Paul's squad reached the outer defense line. Constructs swarmed. The soldiers formed a circle. They fired in steady rhythm. No panic, no wild shots. Every pulse counted. One construct broke through. It struck Paul's armor. Plates bent. Alarms screamed in his helmet. He stayed upright. He grabbed the tendril and pulled. His suit sparked. He drove his knife into the core of the thing. It dissolved. "Paul, report," Daniel said. "Still here, Captain. Just a scratch." Karen checked the readings. "Core is reacting. It knows we're close." Daniel looked at the shrinking map. "Then let's give it something to think about. All teams converge on the core. Final anchors go in now." They planted the last cylinders around the sphere. One by one the anchors activated. Blue light linked them like a net. The core fought back. It sent a wave of darkness. Soldiers flew backward. Armor held. They climbed back up. They kept working. Paul reached the final spot. He set the master anchor himself. His hands moved steady, even as his suit sparked. "Master anchor in place," he said. "Ready for full pulse." Karen's voice came fast. "Field strain at critical. We have 2 minutes before shields fail." Daniel looked at his crew. Then at the screen. "Paul," he said, "get your people out. Now." Paul looked at the sphere. "Almost there, Captain. Just need to—" A massive tendril struck. It hit Paul square. His armor cracked open. He grabbed the trigger anyway. "Detonate!" he shouted. Blue light erupted. The core shattered. The rift screamed a sound that crossed space and minds. Outside, the tear began to close. Varkas stared at the sensors. "It's folding. The rift is collapsing." Lyra pulsed bright. They did it. Inside, the soldiers ran for shuttles. Paul's team dragged him aboard. His suit sealed the breach with emergency foam. He breathed hard. Shuttles raced back to the ships. The rift snapped shut behind them. Normal space returned. The steady hand emerged first. Damaged, smoking in places, but whole. The other ships followed. Daniel opened the channel. "Earth forces to Coalition Command. Rift closed. We're coming out." Varkas stood silent for a moment. Then he spoke. "They said, we've got this." He looked at the small, battered ships. The 5 human ships drifted in normal space again. Smoke rose from damaged hulls. Lights flickered on some sections. The steady hand looked the worst. Long black scars ran along its side where the rift had clawed at it. But all 5 still floated. That alone amazed the Coalition fleet. General Varkas stood on the bridge of the Iron Fang. His scaled hands rested on the command rail. He watched the sensor display. The place where the rift had been was now empty black. No tear, no darkness, just stars shining clear. Advisor Lyra floated close. Her crystal form glowed steady blue for the first time in weeks. "The rift is gone," she said quietly. "Completely closed. No residual energy, no aftershocks." Varkas made a low rumble in his throat. They did what 32 species could not. He opened a channel to the steady hand. "Captain Brooks," he said, "report your status." Daniel Brooks appeared on the screen. His uniform was torn at the shoulder. Soot marked his face, but his voice stayed calm. "All ships accounted for, General. We have heavy damage and casualties. 4 soldiers did not make it back. 7 more are in critical condition. The rest will recover." Varkas lowered his head slightly. "We saw the final pulse. Your sergeant stayed behind to trigger it." Daniel nodded once. Sergeant Paul Carter made the call. He knew the time window was closing. He chose to finish the job. Silence hung on the channel. Then Varkas spoke again. "Your people paid a price. The Coalition will not forget that." Daniel looked straight at the camera. "We knew the cost before we came. We still came." The screen went dark. Across the Coalition fleet, crews watched in silence. Zorath warriors cleaned their weapons slowly. Arcturan medics prepared bays for human wounded. Draxus hunters stood motionless, blades lowered. A small shuttle launched from the steady hand. It carried the most seriously injured. Coalition medical teams met it at the Iron Fang docking bay. Lieutenant Karen Lee stepped out first. She helped carry a stretcher. On it lay Paul Carter. His armor was cracked open in several places. Foam sealed the worst breaches. His breathing came shallow through the helmet mask. A Zorath medic approached. He looked huge next to the humans. "Your soldier needs surgery," the medic said. "Our facilities are ready." Karen nodded. "Thank you." They moved Paul to the operating room. Alien doctors worked beside human medics. Tools from both sides mixed. The surgery lasted 6 hours. When it ended, Paul still breathed. His leg was saved. The rest of his body would heal with time and regen foam. Karen waited outside the room. She sat on a bench in the corridor. Her hands shook a little, now that the fight was over. A young Arcturan medic sat beside her. Acid dripped carefully from his mouth as he spoke. "Your armor held against things that would melt our hulls," he said. "How?" Karen looked at her gloved hands. "We built it to take punishment, layer by layer. Redundant systems, self-seal. It buys time when time is all you have." The medic nodded slowly. "You lost 4. Karen closed her eyes for a second. "Yes." The Arcturan placed one careful claw on her shoulder. "We are sorry." Karen opened her eyes. "Thank you, but we finished the job. That matters." Later, Daniel walked the corridors of the Iron Fang. Varkas met him near an observation window. Stars filled the view. No rift, just peace. "You lost people," Varkas said, "yet you speak of it without anger." Daniel looked out at the stars. "Anger does not bring them back. We honor them by going on." Varkas studied the human captain. Small, soft skin, no natural armor, yet something strong lived behind those eyes. "Your species confuses us," Varkas said. "You say, 'We've got this,' like it is simple. Then you walk into hell and come out the other side." Daniel gave a small smile. "It never feels simple when you are in it. But someone has to do the hard part. If not us, then who?" Varkas was quiet for a long moment. "The council wants to meet you," he said. "They want to offer full partnership. No tests, no limits, equals from this day." Daniel turned to face him. "We accept. But we do not want control. We want to stand beside you, not above." Varkas extended one scaled hand. Daniel took it. The grip was firm. When the fleet began the journey back to Coalition space, human ships stayed in the center. Coalition vessels formed a protective ring around them. They called it Honor Guard. Word spread fast. Every world received the news. The rift closed. Humans did it. 4 did not return. On colony stations, children drew pictures of black-armored figures planting silver anchors in the dark. Parents told the story without exaggeration, just the facts. On the steady hand, Daniel sat in his cabin. He looked at a small photo of his team. 4 faces missing now. He did not cry. He simply looked. Karen entered. She carried 2 cups of coffee. "Paul is awake," she said. "He asked for you." Daniel stood. "Let's go see him." They walked to the medical bay. Paul lay in a bed. Bandages covered half his body, but his eyes were clear. "Hey, Captain," he said. His voice sounded rough. Daniel sat beside the bed. "You scared us for a minute there." Paul's grin was weak. Had to make it dramatic. Karen handed him water. "You did good, Paul. Worth it?" Daniel nodded. "The rift is gone. Worlds are safe. Yeah, worth it." Paul closed his eyes for a second. Good. Outside the window, stars moved past. The fleet traveled together, human and alien. Small ships beside giants. The galaxy watched, and slowly the label changed. No longer the quiet newcomers. Now they were the ones who looked at the impossible and said 4 simple words. "We've got this," and meant every letter. The Coalition Capital Station turned bright with lights. Ships from every species docked in neat rows. Flags and banners hung in the main hall. The air smelled of different foods from different worlds. Music played soft in the background. Everyone came to celebrate the end of the rift. General Varkas walked through the crowd. His heavy steps made the floor shake a little. He wore his best armor, polished until it shone. Advisor Lyra floated beside him. Her crystal body glowed warm gold tonight. They reached the center platform. A large screen showed live pictures from the steady hand. The human ship rested in the middle of the docking ring. Small repair drones moved around it like busy insects. The crowd grew quiet when Captain Daniel Brooks stepped out. He wore a clean gray uniform. No medals, no fancy decorations. Just the simple lines of someone who did not need to show off. Lieutenant Karen Lee walked beside him. Sergeant Paul Carter followed on crutches. His legs still healed, but he stood tall. Varkas raised one claw. The hall lights dimmed. A spotlight fell on the platform. "People of the Coalition," Varkas said. His voice carried to every corner. "Today we honor those who closed the rift. They faced what we could not. They lost friends. They paid in blood. And they won." He turned to Daniel. "Captain Brooks, your people said 4 words. We've got this. We laughed at first. Then we watched. You walked into the dark. You planted anchors where nothing should live. You came back. The galaxy breathes free because of you." The crowd made sounds of respect. Zorath rumbled low. Arcturans hissed soft approval. Draxus clicked their blades together. Daniel stepped forward. He looked at the faces around him. Tall, short, scaled, smooth, glowing, sharp. "We did not do it alone," he said. "Your fleet drew the tendrils away. Your medics saved our wounded. Your engineers helped fix our ships on the way home. This victory belongs to all of us." He paused. "But we came when you called. We stayed until it was done. That is what humans do. We show up, we keep going, even when it hurts." Karen spoke next. Her voice stayed steady. "We lost 4 good soldiers. Their names were Private Alex Turner, Corporal Maria Lopez, Specialist Ryan Hayes, and Lieutenant Benjamin Cole. They knew the risk. They chose to go anyway. We remember them every day." Paul leaned on his crutches. He looked at the crowd. "I stayed behind to set the last anchor. I thought I might not come back, but I had a team counting on me, so I finished the job. That is all." The hall stayed quiet. Then slow applause started. It grew louder. It came from every species. Even the quiet Vexari clapped their gravity pads together. Varkas raised his hand again. "The Council has decided. Earth joins as full partner. Equal voice. Equal place. No waiting. No tests." He offered his claw to Daniel. Daniel took it. The grip looked small against the huge scaled hand, but it held strong. After the ceremony, people mixed. Zorath warriors talked to human marines. Arturan medics asked Karen about human regen foam. Draxus hunters showed Paul their blade techniques. He tried one with his good arm. They laughed when he almost dropped it. Daniel found a quiet corner near a window. Stars shone outside. He sipped water from a cup. Varkas joined him. "You look tired, Captain," Varkas said. Daniel nodded. "Long few weeks." Varkas looked out at the stars, too. "I thought humans were weak," he said. "Soft skin, small bodies, no natural weapons. I was wrong." Daniel smiled a little. "We hear that a lot. It used to bother us. Now we just prove it wrong when it matters." Varkas made a rough sound that might have been a laugh. "You lose people and do not scream for revenge. You win and do not demand more power. Why?" Daniel thought for a moment. "Because revenge does not fix anything. And power for power's sake breaks things. We want to live. We want our kids to grow up safe. We want friends we can trust. That is enough." Varkas looked at him for a long time. Then you have more strength than most of us. They stood in silence. The party continued behind them. Laughter crossed species lines. Someone started a song from Earth. A Zorath tried to sing along. The words came out wrong. Everyone laughed harder. Later, Karen found Daniel. Paul is telling war stories to a group of young Draxus, she said. They think he is a legend already. Daniel chuckled. He will hate that. Karen looked serious for a second. Do you think they will remember this? Not just the victory, the cost. Daniel nodded. They will, because we did not hide it. We showed them the truth. Humans bleed too. We just keep walking. The night went on. Ships left one by one. Some headed home, some carried new friends to see Earth for the first time. The steady hand stayed docked a little longer. Repair crews from 3 species worked together. Human engineers taught alien techs how the negative mass shields worked. Alien techs showed humans better ways to handle radiation leaks. Paul hobbled to the observation deck. He leaned on the rail and watched the stars. Karen joined him. Feeling okay? She asked. Paul nodded. Leg aches, but I can walk. That is more than I expected. He looked at her. We did it, Karen. She smiled. Yeah, we did. Daniel came last. He stood between them. Ready to go home? He asked. Paul grinned. After a hot shower and real food? Yeah. Karen laughed soft. Daniel looked out one more time. The galaxy looked different now. Not because the rift was gone, but because the aliens had seen humans up close. Not as myths, not as strangers, as people who said, "We've got this," and then proved it the hard way. They turned and walked back to their ship. The steady hand undocked slow. It turned toward Earth space. Behind it, Coalition ships flashed lights in salute. Varkas watched from the Iron Fang. They are leaving, he said to Lyra. Lyra pulsed warm. But they will come back when needed. That is what makes them different. Varkas nodded. And the galaxy moved on. Stronger. Safer. Because when the impossible came, the humans stepped forward. And the rest of the stars never forgot. Years passed after the rift closed. The coalition grew stronger. New trade routes opened. Ships moved freely between worlds. Planets once afraid now built cities taller than before. Children from every species played together on shared stations. They heard the old stories and asked the same question. Did the humans really walk into the dark and come back? The answer was always yes. On Earth, life returned to normal in many ways. Captain Daniel Brooks lived in a small house near the ocean. He fished on quiet mornings. He read books in the afternoon. Young officers visited sometimes. They asked about the rift. Daniel told them the truth, without making it bigger than it was. We were scared, he said. Every step inside felt wrong, but we had a job to do. So we did it. Lieutenant Karen Lee became a fleet commander. She led mixed crews now, humans, Zorath, Arcturans, Draxus, all working side by side. She taught them the same lessons she learned the hard way. Stay calm, she told new recruits. One breath at a time, one move at a time. The impossible only wins if you stop moving. Sergeant Paul Carter walked without crutches again. A small limp remained, but he ignored it. He trained special units. Young soldiers from different worlds listened when he spoke. One day a young Zorath asked, "Why did you stay behind at the core?" Paul looked at the recruit. Because the anchors needed to be set, and I was the one closest. Simple as that. The Zorath tilted his head. You could have died. Paul shrugged. Could have, didn't. Next question. The recruit smiled with sharp teeth. General Varkas visited Earth once. He stood on a beach and watched waves roll in. Daniel joined him. You have a quiet world, Varkas said. Daniel nodded. We like it that way. until something needs fixing. The council still talks about your people. They say humans are strange. You fight without rage. You win without bragging. You lose friends and keep going. Time bent. Daniel looked at the main screen. Same as before, he said. We've got this. Karen smiled. Let's prove it again. Paul checked his controls. Anchors ready. Team standing by. They moved in. Coalition ships watched from a safe distance. Varkas stood on his bridge again. He remembered the rift. He remembered the small gray ships disappearing into black. This time he did not worry. He knew what would happen. The human teams deployed. They placed stabilizers around the wormholes. They fired counterpulses. One by one, the rifts closed. When the last one snapped shut, Daniel opened the channel. Quiet resolve to Coalition Command. Wormholes sealed. We're coming home. Varkas answered himself. Welcome back, Captain. The galaxy thanks you. Again. Daniel's voice came back steady. Just doing the job. After the mission, Paul found Daniel on the observation deck. Still works, Paul said. Daniel looked at the stars. Yeah, still works. Karen joined them. She carried 3 cups of coffee. They sat together. No words needed. Outside, alien ships flashed lights in thanks. Zorath rumbled approval. Arcturans sent messages of respect. Draxus carved new symbols on their blades. The galaxy changed slowly. Humans became normal. Not strange, not mythical, just neighbors who showed up when things went wrong. Children grew up hearing the stories. They did not see humans as giants. They saw them as people. People who said 4 words and then did the hard part. On quiet nights, Daniel sat on his porch. He looked at the sky. Sometimes he thought about the 4 who did not come back from the rift. He thought about Paul's cracked armor, Karen's steady hands. The blue light that saved worlds. He smiled a little. The impossible came. Humans faced it, and the stars kept shining. Because when everything looked lost, small, soft creatures in gray uniforms stepped forward. They said, "We've got this." And the dark listened. Then it moved aside. Because some strength does not roar. Some strength simply refuses to quit.